Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's your old pal, Mr. Butter, coming back at you again. The year 2025 is starting to wind down, so I want to start making some videos that kind of reflect on everything that went down in the world of sneakers this year. Today, I want to talk about 5 things that I loved about collecting sneakers in 2025. If you're into kicks and you feel like hanging out, then hit that subscribe button. I got a lot to cover. Let's talk about sneakers. And on feet today, I am wearing the great Jordan 5s from this year. I think this pair is incredible. This is my personal favorite colorway of the Jordan 5. As a kid, I was such a Charlotte Hornets fan, and I just love the way that these colors all go together. But anyhow, let's get to what you're here to see. All right, so I got a lot of pairs that I want to cover with y'all. 2025 has been absolutely incredible. There's not going to be like a whole lot of really big hype stuff covered in this video. That will be in things to come. I do plan on doing like my top 5 or top 10 pickups of this year and a couple other just top 5 or top 10 videos. I'll probably put together one that is just my most hype pickups, because that doesn't necessarily correlate with what my favorite pickups are, if that makes any sense. But like I said, I want to save some time, so let's just get into my favorite things about collecting in 2025. All right, so the first thing on my list that I loved about collecting sneakers this year is just the Jordan 5 silhouette. I think that 2025 has been the most epic year of Jordan 5s since I was 9 years old. Whenever all these came out, I'm not going to do that math for you, but you can figure that out on your own. This pair that I'm holding is probably the most hyped up release, but this isn't my favorite release of the year. I think these are great, and I love the white piping that we kind of get on the edges of all these overlays. This, of course, is the black metallic reimagined. They did come with white laces, which I think is cool because Jordan rocked them like that back in the day. But this shoe, I think, took everybody by surprise. With this release, it was kind of the first indicator, like, wow, people actually do like Jordan 5s. Because for a long time, I just feel like the silhouette wasn't really getting that much attention. I already showed you that I have the Jordan 5s on feet, and I have been wearing that pair a ton lately. I think that is probably my favorite colorway on the Jordan 5 silhouette. I was a Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues fan back in the day. They all played for the Charlotte Hornets. And of course, the grape colorway goes along quite nicely with Charlotte Hornets gear. Another thing I should mention about that pair is I think you can get those for under retail on resale platforms. They sat around for a while, and I think that's a great thing. I think it's wonderful that people can get absolute bangers like that without too much of an issue or without having to break the bank. I am still in disbelief that this pair is going for as much as what it is, but in my personal opinion, I prefer both the Fire Reds and the Jordan 5 grapes to this pair, but I've always preferred white sneakers over black sneakers. I just mentioned the Fire Reds. Here they are, and this is the first time that I have ever owned this pair with the black tongue, but this is my favorite way to see this pair. I love that we got the Nike Air on the back. I think that 23 embroidered onto the side looks absolutely perfect. And coming from a fan of the Jordan 5 ever since the first year that they were released, I just don't think that there's much more that you could ask for when it comes from Jordan 5s. They were accessible. I think this pair and the grapes are still accessible for pretty close to retail, if not under retail. I know that black metallic pair disappeared quick and they're really expensive now, but when they first released, I actually picked up 2 pair by accident just because I didn't want to strike out on them, but I ended up selling my extra pair for retail just because I didn't need 2 pairs of them, and now I am just absolutely astonished at how much those are going for on the resale market. But because we got so many OG colorways, and because they were done so well, and they all have that Nike Air on the back, and they just couldn't be better in my opinion, the Jordan 5 silhouette is the first thing I loved about collecting sneakers in 2025. So for the second thing I loved about collecting sneakers this year, we have the return of the New Balance 992. This is actually the first Made in USA silhouette that I ever owned. And there for a while, we didn't see New Balance releasing the 992 that much. This is the Action Bronson release. They called this one the Digitalis Purpurea, and I found out that is actually a plant. And when you look that up, the colors, this deep purple and the pink and everything, it does actually remind you of that plant. So I think it was well named. At first, I thought he was just trying to be crazy with it and name it something that people couldn't say, but now it actually makes sense. And I know this bold colorway might not be for everybody, and a lot of people might be looking at this and thinking, man, those are crazy, those are disgusting, or just way too loud. But for me, my excitement doesn't just come with these crazy colors and the collabs. I'm just glad to see this silhouette return from New Balance, because these things are built so well. You can just absolutely abuse these things, and really they age just perfectly. You couldn't ask for a better sneaker to be a daily wear, and I think they're really, really comfortable, and I'm just a huge fan of the style. I have been wearing this colorway a good bit. I've actually been wearing the other colorway from Action Bronson a good bit, and I forget what they called that one. That one is like a khaki color, like the color of Timberland boots, and then it's orange and blue. It was inspired by his love of New York sports teams like the Mets and the Knicks, but I've been wearing that pair a lot. But another pair of 992s that I really love this year, the Joe Freshgoods Aged Well 992. And along with loving this silhouette, I just think this has such a premium look, and it also feels incredibly premium. These materials are really crazy. I love the colors that we got on these. This was actually the follow-up to the Anatomy of the Heart 992 release, which came out probably back in 2020, maybe even before that. It's been years now, but anyhow, I absolutely love this pair. I love the style of these. I've been saving these for just the right occasion because I do like them that much. I do kind of feel like this is a top shelf pair, not necessarily for everyday wear, although they would go great with just some jeans and a t-shirt. But I think you can dress these up and really take your outfit to the next level with a pair like this. I know that all that I've talked about is 992 collabs, but New Balance has also released a handful of just GR 992s, and it's not like they sold out immediately or anything like that. You may even be able to find a pair of New Balance 992s for sale, and I would encourage anybody that's never owned a New Balance Made in USA pair to consider grabbing a pair of 992s, because I don't think you'll be disappointed, and I think you'll like them just as much as I do. But anyhow, my second thing that I really love about collecting sneakers this year is the return of the New Balance 992 silhouette. And the third thing I loved about collecting sneakers this year is the Nike Air Max. And when I make that comment, I'm not necessarily just talking about one Air Max silhouette like these Air Max 90 Grateful Ducks, although I think this might be in my top 5 releases of the year. This pair is absolutely incredible in my opinion, but I am a huge fan of the Grateful Dead, so whenever I see a Grateful Dead themed sneaker, it's just like the best of both worlds, and obviously I have to grab them. This release in particular wasn't just a collab between the Grateful Dead and Nike. This also involved the University of Oregon, hence the name Grateful Ducks. On the one shoe you can see that we have a Grateful Dead Steely, and on the other shoe you see a Steely, but it's a duck instead of just the standard skeleton. This pair actually tells a story and drew inspiration of the fact that Grateful Dead actually played at the University of Oregon way back in the day, and actually some of the proceeds from their concerts actually went to help fund stadium updates for the Oregon Ducks. On top of that, I just think that they knocked this theme out of the park. I love the tie-dye that we have on the sides. I like that they incorporated so many design elements that are very recognizable of the Grateful Dead, but at the same time, you can see those design elements from the Oregon Ducks come through as well, and not just that duck on the Steely, but just the fact that there's so much green and yellow, which is, of course, the Oregon Ducks colorway. Another pair of Air Max 90s I really liked were the Pata Air Max 90s. I think they called it the Sapphire colorway, but they're actually in my closet. I didn't grab them, but I really love that pair. And I'm also a huge fan of this big head mode pair of Air Max 1s that they gave us. This was inspired by the video game GoldenEye, which was for the Nintendo 64 back in the late 90s and early 2000s. I spent so much time playing this game with a very good friend of mine who passed away, and just having these, seeing these, wearing these, it just reminds me of my good buddy and the good times that we used to have. And I think on top of that, they just look really, really good on feet. I would like to have the Donkey Kong big head mode pair as well, but resale on them is kind of expensive. However, the price on this pair has stayed really, really reasonable. Actually, so reasonable, in fact, that I've considered grabbing a double up of this pair just because I have been wearing these a little bit, and I would like to have that security just knowing that I have a pair on ice for whenever I wear these out. And one more thing that I really loved about the Air Max silhouettes from Nike this year is just that they finally came up with a way to give us a comfortable Air Max 95. I have had multiple pairs of Air Max 95s over the years, and it's always been a silhouette that I'll keep in my collection for just a little bit, and then after trying to wear them once or twice, I'll just move them out of the collection because they have always absolutely killed my feet. Well, I don't have to worry about that anymore because this year we saw Nike SB release Air Max 95s. They first gave us the Cactus Flower colorway. That had some pink on it and it had a gum outsole. But this one that I'm holding in my hands is the Eric Costin colorway. A lot of people said this looks like a Michigan colorway, but to me, since I live in West Virginia, to me this is a Mountaineer colorway. But whatever you want to call it, I absolutely love this pair. I've worn these a couple of times and they are surprisingly comfortable. And like I said, it might just be my feet, but I have never found an Air Max 95 that felt right on my feet until now. And for that, I am very grateful. And because of all those reasons that I've mentioned, my third thing that I love about collecting sneakers this year is the Air Max family. All right, and the fourth thing that I love about sneaker collecting in 2025 is the fact that Jordan 1s are dead. Now, obviously, whenever I make that statement as I'm sitting here holding a pair of Jordan 1s, that is not my opinion. I do not feel as though Jordan 1s are dead. In fact, if you were to look in my closet right now, just at all the shoes that I have in there and all the sneakers that I have in my rotation, the one shoe that you would probably see more than anything else is the Jordan 1. Whether it's a high or a low, sometimes maybe even a mid, I am just loving the fact that Jordan 1s are easy to grab. Some of the Jordan 1s I've been wearing a ton this year include the Black Toe Reimagined. That pair really tells a cool story by itself because on the box of that shoe, you can see a picture of Jordan holding the Black Toes draped over his shoulder, and I think it was a sample pair, but it's got the Nike Air on the side of it, and then it's got some other really cool hidden little details on it. But those were incredibly easy to grab. You might be able to find those on sale. Another pair that I've been wearing a lot is the UNC Reimagined pair. I just love the colors. I like the crackle effect that they have on that leather, and blue is my favorite color, and I've just been rocking those a ton. I haven't worn this pair yet, but if you've been following sneakers for any amount of time, you obviously recognize that this is the Shattered Backboard colorway. And for years, actually since the original Shattered Backboard Jordan 1s were released, it was considered a grail status sneaker to many sneakerheads. At first, a lot of people scoffed about this pair because they said the quality wasn't there and that sort of thing. But I'm telling you what, I've seen a lot of shoes, a lot of sneakers, not just Jordans, but across the board, but I absolutely love the materials that they gave us on this. Not just the leather that's on the base of the shoe, but this orange leather feels incredible. I think the craftsmanship is great on this pair, and I am very glad that sneakers as iconic as this, even though it's not an OG colorway, I love that grail status type sneakers have just become so easy to get. I think you can still find these on sale from time to time, and if not, you can get them on a resale platform such as GOAT or StockX at very close to retail, if not for less than retail. And to me, that just blows my mind, but I love the fact that Jordan 1s were so easy to get this year. If you were collecting sneakers whenever like COVID first hit, then you probably remember a time when Jordan 1s were next to impossible to get, around the same time that like Dunk Lows were impossible to get. But I know now there's kind of like a stigma, like people think that Jordan 1s fell off. For me, they will never fall off. It's such a versatile silhouette. It's not that they're comfortable, it's just that I love the style and I love the fact that it's a Jordan 1. And for me, this year has just been great when it comes to picking up Jordan 1s. A more recent Jordan 1 that I picked up is these Chicago Jordan 1 lows, and I think these are still widely available on sites online as well as in sneaker shops as well. I know the last time I was in my Finish Line, they still had a lot of sizes of these left, and I think that is a wonderful thing. This, of course, is a Chicago colorway. This is a Jordan 1 low. It seems like people prefer the lows over the highs now. I just like them all depending on what I'm wearing, depending on what the weather is and that kind of thing. But I think this pair is so perfect, and I was very glad to grab these. I actually doubled up on this pair just because I like them that much. I think the materials are really good. They gave us the 8 eyelets like they were back in the day as opposed to the 7 eyelets. They gave us an oversized swoosh on this one, which is more correct to back in the day. So I just think this pair came out beautifully, and I'm very happy to easily secure this double up. But since we've seen so many great colorways of the Jordan 1 release this year, and because it is still my favorite Jordan retro silhouette to wear, along with the fact that they were really easy to pick up, the fact that Jordan 1s are dead is my 4th favorite thing about collecting sneakers in 2025. So the last thing that I loved about collecting sneakers this year is the insane lineup of Jordan retros that we've seen released. And obviously this pair is the white cement Jordan 4s. In my opinion, one of the best colorways of a Jordan 4 to ever be released. We did get the Nike Air treatment on the back of this one, and they do have that updated, comfortable shape. The older I get, the more comfort matters to me, so to get a version of the white cement Jordan 4s that's comfortable to wear, that just couldn't be better to me. But it wasn't just 1s or 4s that we saw good OG colorways release in. We also saw a lot of good colorways of the Jordan 12. The ones that come to mind are the Taxis as well as the Flu Games. We also saw the 10s release with the steel gray pair as well as the Shadow colorway. The only thing that I didn't like about the Jordan 10 releases though is they should have made more numbers of them. They should have made them easier to get. These were pretty easy to get. They kind of sat around for a little bit, and I love that. I wish all sneakers would be available to the masses for an extended period. But anyhow, I wish that they would have made more numbers of the 10s, but I at least appreciate the fact that they brought back some OG colorways of the 10s. And while I'm on the topic of OG colorways releasing, I feel like I have to mention the Aqua 8s. And whenever the 8s came out back in the day, I remember just being so impressed by that tag on the tongue. I remember my uncle had these, and I remember I just thought this was something incredible. You can see the shape of like the 6 and the 7 on the very front, but then of course you get that bold strap across the laces, and like I said, I just love the colors on here. Again, it does probably go back to the fact that I loved the Charlotte Hornets as a kid, but also we don't see the 8 silhouette that much, so I really appreciate getting OG colorways of silhouettes like this, and not even to mention the fact that we're going to be seeing the Bugs Bunny Jordan 8s coming soon, right before Christmas. And of course, you know, I'll be doing everything that I can to grab that pair as well. My fifth favorite thing about collecting sneakers in the year 2025 is just the return of so many epic OG colorways. So that was a quick recap of some of my favorite things about this year. Let me know down in the comments what you liked about this year. Let me know if there was something that you didn't like about this year. And obviously, stay tuned. I am going to have my top 10 lists and that sort of thing as we draw closer to the end of 2025. Let me know what you think about this video, and let me know if you agree, disagree, whatever. I'd just love to hear your feedback. I am trying to get to 25,000 subscribers in the year 2025. So if you're watching to this point and you still haven't yet subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. But anyhow, I appreciate you all watching tremendously, and I will catch you all on the next one. I'm out.